Nothing could top last week's Real Housewives of Potomac reunion. You were wrong, because part 2 last night had so many of us, you and me included, on the edge of our seats.
Oh my goodness. And Wisdom even told us earlier that it made him gasp. And if it can do that, then you know there was drama. I even watched it this morning because I just couldn't wait while I was putting my face on. And here to dish it all is the one and only Real Housewives of Potomac star, Ashley Darby. And Ashley, let's start with the your mic drop moment. Let's talk about your relationship with the hubby. Tell me about that.
Yes. You're asking, was that my mic drop moment?
Yeah, was that what would you consider your mic drop moment?
You know, nothing that related to me was a super mic drop moment. Most of those things I anticipated. Quite frankly, to me, most of it is water under the bridge. If anything, what was most mic drop-ish, in my opinion, were the new revelations that came out, especially with Monique and her Bible of receipts. So that was definitely where my jaw dropped, my everything. I mean, it was just like it was a moment. It was a moment.
Okay. Let's talk now about your relationship with your husband. I know you said it's water under the bridge, but it does keep coming up, and it came up, of course, during this reunion. How do you feel about people? I think it was Andy that said that you constantly have to defend your relationship, and you said you didn't feel it was that way. Can you elaborate on that?
I have always been in an unconventional relationship. Michael and I have an age difference. We come from different socioeconomic backgrounds. We're different races. There's just always something that people will attack. And in this instance, yes, Michael had a transgression, but there's a lot of complexity in my relationship that really just can't be communicated in 45 minutes on a television show. So that's what I keep in mind. This is my real life. And even though it is for entertainment, this show, I do not let that infiltrate my inner circle, which is really happening in my marriage and in my family.
Well, what do you think, though, of Monique's book of receipts? I know you mentioned it, but when you were sitting there and all this was coming out, what was going through your mind?
Well, first, I was incredibly impressed that Monique came so prepared. She had showed me the book prior to the reunion, and I didn't quite grasp the magnitude of the book at the time because it was just sort of in passing. I was like, okay, hey girl. But then it was like, hey girl, I just really couldn't believe that she had just collected all of this information and had organized it so amazingly well. I mean, I was thoroughly impressed.
Yeah, the color-coded tabs.
And I saw some text messages that I had sent. I was like, okay, Mo, she printed out some text between her and I. She definitely came prepared.
Yeah, she was ready. Speaking of Monique, there was some discussion about Monique and the fight that she had with Candace. And Andy had said that he was a little, I guess, disturbed about the fact that she wasn't really showing much emotion. And Monique was saying, this is just the way I process things. I've gone through my range of emotions. What did you make of that?
It is really difficult to be vulnerable when you know everyone is going to be attacking you. Monique came to the reunion after everything that's been going on in social media and in the interviews that we've been having. She knew that everyone was going to be coming for her neck, essentially. So it's hard for a person, I can understand it, to be vulnerable and to be emotional when you know that you have to be on the defense. Those two emotions don't necessarily go very well together.
I don't know if you got a chance to check out Pastor Jamal Bryant's response video to the book of receipts, but he did say he felt like that was Monique's way of kind of shifting the attention to another cast member, so it wouldn't be on her. What do you make of that rationale, and did you see his take?
First of all, that was fairly surprising because I would never have imagined the pastor getting involved, honestly. But it was entertaining too. But what I do think is that inevitably that's what the reunion is for. The reunion is for you to bring whatever information or issue that you have. And that's what Monique did. You can't call it deflection when that's really the purpose of the reunion, is to have these types of discussions. So it's really just par for the course.
All right, really quickly here, there is a part 3. And we said earlier in the show here that just when you thought it couldn't get any crazier, it did. What's a little tease that you can give us for part 3 here?
No, because
Honey, this part 3, okay. So the reunion was like 11 hours long. And to me, it felt like it was like 30 minutes because there was so much emotion. And certainly when the husbands joined us, it was when everything culminated and it was like a volcano went off. So many things that I didn't know about that had been going on in social media and in the press. So I learned about all that stuff really with everybody else.
Okay. So what you're telling us is that it's on and popping come next week.
Yes,
And we need a jug for our
we
tea
go out
this
with
time.
a bang, that's for sure.
All right. Well, Ashley, thank you so much for joining us this morning and giving us that little tease for next week. If anybody wasn't planning on watching it, they sure are now. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right. And just a reminder here, you can catch part 3 of the Real Housewives of Potomac reunion next Sunday on Bravo. Check your local listings.